All right, guys, welcome back to the shack. And it's been a long day, guys. I have been grinding, trying to catch up on jobs. Also, trying to learn the new machine that showed up recently with the CNC router. Try to get that thing figured out. Man, as I was out here working today, I get a text from the wife saying I had a package, and it was not one that I was expecting per se. But just to kind of bring you up to speed, guys, recently I got an email from ComMarker saying that they had a 20-watt fiber laser that they wanted me to test out. And we had some exchanges, and I told them that I wouldn't mind doing it. And pretty much they went dark on me. Well, today it shows up. So I didn't really have this planned. I've been in the shop working all day today. I'm soaking wet with sweat. But you know what, guys? I've got to go ahead and get this thing opened up and see what's in there, try to get it connected, and see if I can actually do some work with it. So if that's something you're interested in, if you've been thinking about getting into the small fiber lasers, or if you just want to see what it looks like, then stick around and we're going to get this thing out of the box. It did have a rough trip with UPS. The exterior box was beat up pretty badly, and you can see that there's a dent here where it looks like it wasn't properly handled by UPS, but hopefully they packaged it well enough that nothing inside is going to be damaged. So let's get it out of the box and find out. All right, so I did go ahead and get the tape off of it because there's nothing I hate worse than you guys watching me struggle with some of this packaging tape. So I went ahead and cut the tape off of it. This little guy was on the top of it. This looks like some sample materials for the machine, which is good because I had some stuff I was going to order, but I was waiting to get confirmation I was going to be getting a fiber laser before I got it because it's things that I can't do with any of my other machines. So luckily we've got some test pieces. So I'm going to set that over here. It also had a separate box inside the big box, and according to the illustrations, this has something to do with the rotary that they sent me with it as well. Supposedly there's a rotary here somewhere. I opened this, and it's just more or less just a cable box, which appears to be maybe an adapter or some type of controller for the rotary itself. So I'm going to set this over here out of the way. Also, the one thing that I did notice when I opened it up is they kind of went all out. Instead of a plastic ruler, guys, they actually sent me I got a metal ruler here with it. And it is really hard to find a ruler that has metric numbers on both sides here where I live. So it's got metrics on both sides, and then if you flip it over, it has inches on the other side. That's pretty handy. I'm gonna go ahead and hang that up over here. That will be seeing some use here in the shack. So that was a good little add-in for it. Got the and there's a SanDisk thumb drive in here. I'm guessing there's going to be some software and stuff on that, so we're going to want to hang on to that. I'll lay it over here by the computer so we can get to it here in a little bit. And this a cool little binder, and I'm not real sure what the purpose is other than just to hold the paperwork and this black sheet of paper. So, I mean, it's pretty fancy, I gotta say. So, got some documentation in here and thank you cards and stuff. Pretty fancy. So far, the packaging and everything seems very unique. A lot more thought put into it than what I'm accustomed to. So we'll put our paperwork over here to the side as well. I'm gonna have so much stuff off to the side. All right, so good news is, guys, wherever the bump is, okay, the bump is actually in the box over here near where all the small parts are. So that means that even though that may have been a good impact, it should have just hit the loose small parts and not anything big and important. So I'm gonna throw the foam over here out of the way. USB cable, foot pedal. I've heard that foot pedals are handy with fiber lasers because you can basically fire the laser with your foot as you're moving blanks. That's going to be something I'm interested in seeing. And Steve has been showing off his fancy glasses, so I know what these look like, guys. And you know, I usually wear my orange free mascots, but they don't really work with fibers. So, you know, here we go. So that may be this may be my new look. Wow, it brightens everything up. I'm used to the orange. So yeah. your glasses. So you may get to see me wearing some different glasses now. Nice little, I mean, I gotta say, they kind of went the way of Apple with some of their branding and cool little extras they give you. Lens cloth was in there with that. Power cable. I'm guessing that's going to be one of the extra lenses. I have been doing a little bit of research to try to figure out how to work this thing. That looks like that's a knob, possibly the manual focus adjustment knob. Okay. Going to be the part for the standoff. It comes with a standoff so that you can actually hold it over the top of something and engrave it. And judging by the look of the parts, that's going to be the standoff. And it looks like I'm going to need to assemble that before I can use it. All right, next layer of the packaging. It's going to be the arm. This is going to be basically the vertical part of the machine that stands up. Make sure I'm not missing anything, guys. I have missed stuff in packages before. All right. Wrenches, let's see, some wire and some metal discs. Not real sure if those are blanks or if those are part of the product. We'll figure that out along the way. And here is the head of the machine. And it's got a really, really long umbilical cord here. So trying to keep it from getting all twisted and be able to set it down over here. So there's that. And to make sure I don't hurt the laser lens, I'm going to take a piece of this foam and we're going to set it up sideways like this. Let that rest there for a minute. It does have some fuzz stuck to it, so looks like a piece of some type of fuzz out of the packaging. So we'll make sure we clean that really good before we start. And then the big part in the bottom, of course, is the bulk of the machine. Set that out there. This is looking like it's going to be a relatively easy assembly, guys. Let's see what the book looks like. Definitely, it's actually a book, not just a pamphlet, so it's a big plus from what I'm accustomed to. Assembly of the machine. Okay, this is like a quick start. Okay, so apparently there's not a whole lot to it because the illustrations are, the illustrations are not very, very in-depth. There may be more on the thumb drive. Okay, there's got to be more to the instructions here. Let me check the thumb drive. All right, guys, so I looked on the thumb drive, looking for a manual. Didn't find a whole lot of stuff on that, but there was a video. So I've got the video, got it up here on the screen. And I'm just going to kind of watch along, pause, do whatever it is I'm supposed to do, and go from there. So we'll see how hard this is. So this is the base. This basically is introducing you to the machine. And apparently I'm supposed to set that part up on here. Yeah, it's jazzy music right there too. So that's a step. So we're going to want to take this, and it says we can pull this out. Yes, that pulls out. All right. So it does have some set screws right here on the end. So you got 4 grub screws on all the way around it. So I've got it on there, got it loosened up so that both pieces can connect together. And I'm going to tighten up all these 4 grub screws that are on here. But there is a little flat spot on this bottom piece that has to align with this coupler to get it on there just right. So, okay, I got it on there. Now what? Tightening screws. Oh, they just push it. So it is made to work in either position, but this is the standard positioning. Just glad I caught that before I got it all the way put together. It's a little harder to do. Voila. That looks better, guys. All right, so since we had to back up. It only has 4 screw holes for mounting, so that's good, less confusion. I will be needing some screws. These appear to be the smaller screws. Yes, those are the smaller screws. Ooh, it's going to be a little challenging. You might want to bring a friend for this part. All right. Once you get one of them in, it should hold it in place. So, now for the rest of them. Phew, guys, it is hot in here today, even with the air on. All right, so we got that part on there. Apparently now we need to go around to the back for some other steps. So I'm going to spin this around before we start the video back. I'm going to go ahead and take the cord off of this. All right, so we got that. We'll go ahead and put this lens cap on here just to protect it while we're handling it. Extra lens. We won't be playing with that just yet, so I'm just going to put it in this nice little zipper bag here and keep it over there. Well, my nice little zipper bag just broke. I pulled the thing off of it. So we'll put that in there. Judging by the color of that cable, I'm guessing that that is the foot pedal that they're connecting now. All right, so the foot pedal, yes, it's a 2-pin. You've got a 2-pin and a 5-pin. So shouldn't be any mix-ups there. Plug it in the 2-pin. All right, let's see what they're doing now. Okay, so I guess we're done other than some cable and making sure we don't have the emergency button on. All right, we can put the TV away and get to work. So, put the TV away. I'm gonna go ahead and first I'm gonna engage the emergency stop or make sure it's engaged while I'm doing this since I don't have any eye protection on. I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in. Give it some power here. I think that's all the business back here except for the USB. The USB is just a standard typical cable, nothing fancy about it, same as the diodes use for the most part. The old printer style, USB whatever make they call it, they've made so many. I'm gonna go ahead and plug this guy in right, wait a minute. Yeah, I think it'll find it. Plug that in. They also give you a USB 3 to, well, actually a couple of USB 3 to USB-C adapters. 2 of those in there. So I'll stick those over here in my box. These screws, I'm assuming, are going to be to use little guides. You've got some plastic acrylic guides, which you could laser cut some more or CNC some more. Hey, there's an idea. So I'm going to keep these over here with the machine. All right, guys. So I was able to get the software set up, and I will say using EasyCAD 2, the setup is very minimal with this machine. There are some videos out there on ComMarker's website that kind of walk you through the process of how to go about that. The software setup with the EasyCAD wasn't difficult, and I will say that having the buttons on the machine to do the framing and to do the firing, that's pretty handy. I haven't got around to using the foot pedal yet because let's face it, guys, I wanted to go ahead and burn some stuff. So I also went ahead and upgraded my license for Lightburn to work with the Galvo lasers as well, because even though I do want to know how to work the EasyCAD 2 software because I think it has its place, And I did find that I can actually build files in Lightburn, export them as a graphic file, and bring them into EasyCAD 2, and then use it for engraving if I want to. So I'm going to be learning that software and trying to figure out the ins and outs of it, because I think to be able to use the pedal for major production stuff, I don't know about setting that up in Lightburn yet. Those are things that I'm going to learn, guys. This is my very first Galvo fiber laser ever. So I'm having to learn those things. So you guys that are pros, you know, if you got tips, feel free to drop tips, but you can hold your sarcasm, because I don't know what I'm doing with this thing yet, okay? I'm learning it. But I went ahead and got the Lightburn license updated. So now Lightburn will work with Galvos. I run into one little hang up when I was setting it up, but luckily my friend Steve has already been through the process. So as a matter of time saving, I just text him and I'm like, hey, what am I missing? And there is a EasyCAD driver that you have to install to Lightburn, to the machine, in order for it to work with Lightburn. There's a different driver that's required for Lightburn to communicate with the device than there is for EasyCAD. So that was minor. Once he said there's a different driver, I was able to research it on the internet, find the file, downloaded it, installed it, and all is well. The thing that I do like about it, and I'm having to learn, is now instead of only having power and speed as my two variables, they've thrown a third variable in there, which is frequency. And I've done some testing. I've tried doing testing on some sheet metal that I have, but guys, the problem that I've got with the machine is it's a little too powerful. And I don't know if you can see this or not, but I'm going to have to set the speeds up, or either get some thicker material to where it doesn't cause this material to warp. I was able to get some colors just using some random scrap metal that I have around here. I've got some colors out of it, but like I said, it's a little hot, and the heat is causing this thin material to warp. So I kind of scratched that idea. This stuff will end up in a scrap pile, or I may use it, you know, for some lighter engraves. But the problem is once it starts warping, it gets out of focus and it messes everything up. So you can see, I did find that if you go slow enough, over here on this far left, I was able to get, hang on if I can get it, there's a little black square right there. But in order to do that, it heats this material up to the point to where it warps. So I decided I need some thicker material, which I will be shopping for some thicker material. But I was able to dig around here in the clack shack, and I have found some aluminum that I have. This is like a bracket for antenna mast or something. And another little piece of, which feels like some kind of steel. So we'll be playing around with those. But I did, in the meantime, also dig through, because I'm a bit of a hoarder of sorts. And I had some old skill saw blades laying around that I had thought I might use for something one day. And so I did a little burning on those. And the engraving has actually turned out pretty well. And I know that blade is really skin up, guys. But with this, you can actually feel it in the metal, which is amazing to me. I did some keychains, and we're going to do some more of those, and I'll show you the video on that. But so far, guys, the power, the speed of it. This is a piece of test material that they sent with it. I ran it a little hot too. It's got a little bit of a potato chip look going to it. So I'm having to learn that this machine's not like a diode. Okay, it's going to get this stuff hot. It's going to get it hot quick. Even thicker materials. So I've moved on to wanting to try to figure out, okay, what can I do with anodized? So this is a badge graphic that I have, and I put it on one of these anodized cards. There again, I ran it a little hot. This one's got a little bit of a warpage to it, so I had to dial the settings down. And even though it looks pretty good, you can barely tell that it tried to warp a little bit right there. So played around with the settings on that and got it dialed in and redid it, and we had a successful result. You have to run crazy fast if you're going to run 100% with this machine, which, you know, I'm not against that, but I did like a little cool little Miranda card here. Y'all, you know, a lot of you know what I do for a living. So this is a Miranda card that you can take and keep in your pocket, so that if you have to recite this, not that we don't memorize it, but if you're ever asked, how do you know you said it correctly? It's because you read it from a card. So those are pretty cool. It's a pretty cool idea for anybody that does this type of work. Centering, I could do a little bit better on the centering, guys, but since I'm doing just one-offs on stuff, I didn't go through the trouble of setting the jig up perfectly. I have hundreds of these little cards. This was just to see what the settings would do. So I'm going to pick that up now. All right, another blank that came with the machine, and I have some of these that I ordered that I use for a diode, and a diode does a pretty good job on them. It just does them a lot slower. Is this little dog tag here, and guys, look at the detail on that. That is awesome, awesome, awesome detail. So I did all that last night, playing around with the machine. I apologize for not bringing you guys along, but I was excited. I wanted to try to figure out how to work it, and got a little carried away. Now, I did learn one thing. If you're going to be trying to etch anything that's clear, it will etch it, but put a piece of wood or something underneath it, because this machine will not touch wood. Like, you can run the highest power setting you want. It will not leave a mark on a piece of wood. So I was able to etch a piece of plexiglass, but I inadvertently etched the base of the machine too. So I had to do a little touch-up work this morning with some spray paint. But we got that touched up, and I'm sure it won't be the last time that something gets a hold to it. And I've got a little business card on there now. And what my plan is I have this little device right here that I will be engraving. I want to put the Gadsden flag, the Don't Tread on Me, on this because it would match the other part of this because it has it on it also. So I've run a couple of test burns with the file just to see what kind of resolution I can get out of it. And then we're going to move over to doing this and see how that turns out. So give me just a minute to get it set up. All right, guys. First off, if you start to do any of these, make sure there's nothing inside there just in case. Just word to the wise. You don't want any accidents. So I'm going to run this engrave here on this little business card material. I'm going to move the camera down a little bit so you can see. I also have the GoPro over here, and I've got it set up to where it can watch it as well, and I'll try to drop that up here in just a minute as well. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to get the camera ready, and we're going to run this real quick. This is going to be 2,000 millimeters per second, 100% output, running 600 LPI with a frequency of 5, which that may be a little bit of a deep dig, but I'm not sure about the coding on this device, so I'm gonna use the 5 as my frequency just to see how this goes. The frequency does determine how it affects the material, so that's something I'm having to learn. So here we go. Let's see what it looks like on the card. All right, I've got it set to frame, but I've got it. There's several options in Lightburn. This option seems to be the best, especially if you're trying to position it on an odd-shaped object. This actually, it outlines the object itself. You have also, you can do bounds, which basically just makes a square around the area in which it's going to engrave. And you have hull, which kind of gives you this weird little shape to show. And then my favorite one is contour, because it actually shows you where the burn is going to be. And I think that one's kind of cool. So here we go. Go ahead and start this up. Also, I got this cool little thing set up in Lightburn to where it gives me an audible through my speakers when the burn is done, so I don't accidentally reach under there. But there's the results, guys, if I can get it to focus on this. So as you can see, it's a little hot because you just kind of dimpled it a little bit, but this is a lot thinner material than what we'll be using here. So I want to do this on both sides, and I want it visible. So I'm going to have to kind of go down toward the bottom here. And I'm just going to, there's some numbers here that I don't want to mess up. and on this side that I don't want to mess up. So I'm going to go just above the numbers that are already on there. Set that up right there. The way you focus it. And I will tell you this too. These things are really finicky about focus. If it's out of focus, it's not doing nothing. So I'm going to have to raise the laser head up to accommodate the new focus. It's got a little cool button. There's a couple of dots that once those two dots are more or less touching, as close as you can get them, it's in focus. So here we go. Let's try this again. All right, so that side is done, guys. Check it out. That's awesome. And I did it right above where the stamped letters is. It says Made in USA. And it turns the finish white, which is cool. I did not try to go down deep enough to get into the metal. I just more or less wanted to mark the coating on these. So we'll get this one lined up right above the text because I don't want to mess with my text. And here we go. So this is just a piece of stock aluminum. This is a lot thicker piece of material. So I want to do some testing to see exactly how it does as far as engraving. Now this is kind of dirty. So hopefully this first setting that I've got programmed in right here, I'm going to move this down to where I can do it several times on this little piece of aluminum. Hopefully this first pass will more or less just clean it. You got to set the focus again, guys. So I'm going to bring it down until the dots touch. And we're back in focus. So let's see what this setting does. 2,000 millimeters a second at 100% output. 5 on the frequency. Now, the one thing that I have learned, guys, is the frequency does make a difference, and the passes, you can run multiple passes if you want to really dig into the material. And as you can see, I kind of got a white, just like a white image with that. So I'm going to move up above that. I'm going to tune the settings in a little bit to try to actually make it engrave and dig down into the metal a little bit. So I'm going to change the speed over to 500. I'm going to be changing the frequency down to 1. And I'm going to run it 4 passes. And then I'm going to take that same layer and I'm just going to duplicate it. And I know I probably could use sub layers for this, but I just haven't got into doing that yet. And then I'm going to run another pass after that. 1 pass at 3,000 millimeters per second at 50% power with a frequency of 20, and that's going to kind of be my polishing pass. So here we go. And you can tell when you're listening to it the difference the frequency has on the material. It sounds different, the effects are different. And I've got a lot of research, a lot of testing, a lot of training to do to fully understand all of this. But I'm getting some decent marks and decent engraves with very little training. So I think that's a good thing. So I just got this in yesterday, so it's I've just been more or less just cramming fiber laser information, trying to figure out exactly how to do this. And I am running crosshatch. Like I said, each pass It's running the same power settings on this burn, but I am running a crosshatch, so that's why you see it going on the X and the Y axis. Then once these passes conclude, it's going to change power settings and it's going to run my little polishing pass there to end. And you should be able to tell a significant difference in the speed. All right, so with that one, it's actually in the material. Like it engraved into the material a little bit there. Like you can, I don't know if you can hear that or not, but when I scratch at it now, it's grabbing. The other one, it did a little, but not as much. But that one is actually into the material, and you can feel it. I mean, you can almost visualize the image just by feeling it. So that's really cool. This is a piece of, I'm guessing this is some type of steel. Now, it's probably coated. It's probably coated with something, but this is going to be a piece of steel. And I'm going to shrink the image down and just see what it'll do on that. Like I said, I'm pretty much laser engraving everything I got in the shop, guys. I'm going to have to raise it back up. Also, my graphic is a little big for this little piece of metal. So I'm going to shrink it down just a little. Okay, the GoPro just died. That is not the machine making that crazy noise. Time to charge the GoPro, guys. All right, so framing it out. Just gonna make sure it's on my material. Don't want to have any more mishaps with the workspace bed. And here we go. I'm gonna run the same power settings to try to see if I can make a mark on this metal. I want to try to get it engraved a little bit into the metal. Like I said, I'm not really sure what this material is. It may or may not react as well. It may require much, much greater power. It feels like some type of steel. Maybe like nickel chromium plated. And I will tell you too, sometimes that last pass that kind of buffs it will actually clean the engrave. So it may be black when you make the first couple of passes, but then that final engrave will end up cleaning it off so you can't really see the mark. It did engrave it. However, this material is much harder than the aluminum. So I would need to run a lot more passes, slow it down to get a deeper burn. So I'll flip it over to this side and change some parameters here. I'm going to slow the speed down to 200. And go with that. I'm going to turn off the little polishing round to see if that makes it, see if it stays dark this time. So as you can see by the color, when you slow it down, it definitely makes more of an effect. I don't know if you can see all those sparks coming off of it, but this is at 200 millimeters per second. And you can see the fires coming, the flame coming off of it. So this is definitely having a more desired effect on the material. Uh, the slower speed is doing what it's supposed to now. A lot of sparks. Good thing is, with metal, you don't have to worry about setting it on fire. Now, without that cleaning pass, uh, this one kind of turned if I can get it to focus. This one has more of a brown color to it, but it is definitely in the metal more. And this part of the metal had been machined as well, had a smoother surface, so that could have contributed to why it burned a little different as well. A lot of variables, but that's not coming off there, guys. I mean, you can do what you want with that. That's not going anywhere. That is on there. So if I run those same settings, this is the aluminum that we did earlier, where it faintly marked here. So if I run those same settings, doing that same design on the aluminum, let's see what happens. I will run the cleanup pass on this one, just to make sure it smooths it out. Like I said, I've got to do some experimentation because I'm pretty sure that different frequencies are going to react with different metals better. Aluminum may not react as well with the 1 kilohertz frequency that I've got it set to. So those are scientific things that I need to work on. And I also got to figure out where I'm going to put this thing to exhaust it, or if I'm going to just get me a fan. I try to stay downwind from it, or upwind from it. All right, with those settings, and I'll try to go back and get do a little better pictures here in a minute. It actually did mark into the material. You can strike a match on it now. So, all right, guys. So, like I said, total noob at this. I've got to do a lot more research. I've got to do a lot more figuring out how frequencies correlate with power and all that to get the desired effect. I've got to get some more materials. I mean, I've been picking through my scrap bin trying to find stuff to engrave. I've engraved a crescent wrench, a hammer, all kinds of things. I can tell you that this is by far a really, really cool machine. So far, it's worked well. I was thinking 20 watts, wasn't going to be that powerful, but it's actually amazed me at what you can actually do with a 20-watt machine. There are a lot bigger machines out there, and maybe one day I'll get a chance to test some of those. But for now, like I said, this guy has opened up a whole new arena for me to learn and give me a lot more capabilities of what I can and can't do here in the shop. Because between the CO2s, the diode, the mechanical CNC, and now the fiber, pretty much any medium that I can think of, I've got a way of cutting it. So I think that's pretty cool. That's going to kind of help, especially around Christmas time. I've already got some ideas for the fiber laser for Christmas. So we're going to try to get into that and see what comes up, guys. But I hope the video was enjoyable. I hope this gives you a little bit of information. Like I said, ComMarker sent this out to me to try out, and I really do appreciate it. It's fun. It's a learning experience, and I plan to do a lot more videos, kind of bring you guys along as I run off into the rabbit hole that is fiber engraving. And by the way, guys, these are the glasses that came with it. So they're not the green ones that you typically get, but they're pretty cool. They fit a lot like my other ones. So appreciate the glasses. But until next time, guys, I'm going to get busy. Got some jobs to do. Got to get the CNC rolling. Got some stove covers I got to finish. I'm going to be playing with this today. So I'm going to get to doing that, and maybe in the next week or so, I can do another follow-up video. Maybe even walk you through some of the software stuff once I make sure I've got it all figured out, because right now it's working, but there could be some things that I need to go back and fix. So once I have a chance to polish through all that, I'll keep you guys updated. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop that down in the comment below. And be sure to hit that like button. And if you hadn't already, subscribe. So thanks. And until next time, guys, be safe. Have a good day.